Good morning, boys and girls. Harry's with me today. He got trampled yesterday in the dog wrestling match, so he just is going to be here with the other ones in the other room. Do you like his mohawk? Oh, look. You look good, Harry. So this morning, I decided that I thought we could read our read aloud here at home. And I'm going to turn the camera around, and on my laptop I have the book brought up on the computer so you can read along with me. I have a disclosure. Those of you who weren't in the classroom when we were doing this read aloud, I read the voices in a different voice because when I was reading this book to myself for the first time, that was the voice that I heard in my head, which is a little crazy that I'm allowing you to hear what I hear in my head. Oh boy. So, Harry, are you ready to read the story? You are? Oh my God, you're a good doggy student. All right, guys, so I'm going to turn it around and we'll give it a try. So this book is called The Great Unexpected. And this is chapter 12. Another stranger. Wait a second. Why do I feel like we're not on chapter 12? Let me go back a page. Let me go back. Hold on. Oh, yeah, because we read The Crooked Bridge. So we're on 12. Okay, so here we go. Although the chickens behaved well enough with me, Joe and Nuala, they didn't like too many others and could create a ruckus if approached. They had scratched and pecked a ruddy mess in the yard as they roamed and clucked. "Awk, awk!" Miss Johnny, the loner, ran here and there like a crazy person, calling out, "Ooka, ooka," in a high-pitched sound, unlike any other chicken I've ever heard. I'd named the chickens, which annoyed Joe, partly because I'd given them all men's names, so I had to add Miss to them. Miss Johnny, Miss Roy, Miss Danny, Miss Franklin, like that. It was while I was thinking about the chickens and their voices that I realized what had been puzzling me about Finn. When we first met him, he had sounded different, a little strange. He talked in a way not completely odd to my ears, but definitely not a blackbird tree way of talking, with our drawled out middles of words. Finn spoke in a more lilting way, so that some words sat up and floated in the air. Standing there in the chicken yard, I realized that Finn had sounded a little like Nuala. The next time we saw Finn, though, he sounded more blackbird, tree-like. He said, "Where's the school at?" And "where's" sounded like "where's," and everything sounded like "everything," which was the way you said things in Blackbird Tree. When I mentioned this to Lizzie later in the day, she said, "He did sound peculiar, but I thought it was because he was injured half to death." "But where's he from?" That's what I'd like to know. He never did bother to answer that question. "Well, with school out and all, and with the Deninsons never coming to school anyway, we may never see that Finn boy again, Naomi. Unless you want to try going up Black Dog Night Hill again. I don't think we ought to, though." "Do you?" "Well, with the dogs and all. I mean the other dogs, not the black dog with the yellow eyes. Although that black dog would be reason enough to go. I'm not going back up that hill. I don't care if we never see that Finn boy again anyway." This was not the truth. I was desperate to see that Finn boy again. It was embarrassing to consider, but that's the way it was, as if I'd been hypnotized and Finn boy had been infiltrated my brain like a virus. "I don't care either," Lizzie said. "If you don't care, I don't care." As we walked to T-Bob's General Store, we talked about our summer. Lizzie's foster parents, the Cuprights, and Nuala and Joel were still in shock that we were out of school, and they had not yet pinned us down to chores. Usually we had about a week until they figured out we were on the loose, and that week was running out. We would each have home chores, and the Cuprights always made Lizzie do a volunteer project to help the community and people less fortunate. Usually I joined her because that got me out of more chores at Joe and Nuala's and gave me more time hanging out with Lizzie. At T-Bop's store, several women were clustered around Mrs. T-Bop at the counter. Buzz, buzz, like busy flies. Glory, who was he? Would you say his name was? Dangle? Doodle? I think it was. Well, what'd he want? Why would he drop in here like an alien or something? I have no. He said he was interested. In what? What was he interested in? Sounds pretty nosy if you ask me. The area? He was interested in the lovely surrounds. That's the way he put it. Kind of queer-like. And he talked funny. Like how? Buzz, buzz. What Lizzie and I put together was that a dapper man had come into T-Bop's asking a lot of questions. How many people lived in town? Were there any boarding houses? What were some nice places to visit? Was there a river? Did people fish there? Well, I'll be a nutberry, Lizzie said as we left the store. First there's the Finn boy dropping out of nowhere, and now there's a Dangle Doodle man. Maybe next we'll get a kangaroo hopping down the road. It's like the great unexpected. What's that? That's on the summer book list, the great unexpected. I hear it's way too long and too hard. The great unexpected. It sounded like my life if you took the great out. Boys and girls, I read chapter 12 in school. I just realized that after getting halfway through it. So look at it as a recap since we haven't read this in a while. All right, chapter 3, Across the Ocean, a Visitor. So boys and girls, this is another part of the story. It switches settings and it goes across the ocean to Ireland, where a new character, well, she's not new anyway at this point, but a new character, those of you who haven't been reading the book, Mrs. Cavan. And Mrs. Cavan has an Irish dialect, so here's my best attempt at it. Sibba, you've a visitor. Pilpenny stopped to catch her breath. I've had enough visitors, and you won't like this one. I'm as sure of that as I am of my mother's grave. Paddy McCall, is it? The very same. Best hide in the garden shed. Then, he's already seen you. Look there, don't stare. See him by the roses. Mrs. Cavan peered around Pilpenny. Paddy McCall in the flesh. Best get me the gun. Oh, Sybil. The axe. All right, chapter 14. This is where we left off, guys. Lizzie and I were coming down Pork Street on our way home from T-Bop's store, still talking about the stranger, Dangle Doodle, when I saw Finn up ahead leaving Witch Wiggins' house. My heart was hopping around like a frog. I couldn't speak. I pulled on Lizzie's sleeve. Naomi, stop that. This is my only cardigan with all its buttons, and you are stretching. Whoa, look at that. It's that Finn boy coming out of Witch Wiggins' house. Oh, heavens and stars. Finn waved. Hey, tree girls. Lizzie wagged her finger at Finn. Finn boy, I know you're new here and all, but you have to be careful where you go. Do you have any idea who lives in that house? A lady by the name of Hazel. Hazel? Lizzie looked at Finn as if he were speaking Turkish. That is the dwelling of Witch Wiggins, who has been known to eat boys bigger than you, so you're lucky to be alive. She eats boys, is that so? Don't you know you have to stay clear of witches? What made you go in there in the first place? I'm worried about you, Finn boy. Did you eat or drink anything while you were in there?
I had a couple of biscuits, tasted kind of strange, I suppose, and a glass or two of something red-colored. Lizzie put her hand on Finn's forehead.
How do you feel?
A little odd, I suppose.
Naomi, he's feeling odd and he ate strange biscuits and drank red liquids.
Lizzie, I'm standing right here. I'm not deaf. I'm feeling a little dizzy, Finn said. Lizzie leaped into action.
Here, put your arm on my shoulder. That's right.
I felt it necessary to get on the other side of Finn. Put your other arm here, I said. The three of us made our clumsy way down the street, and I have to say that it was a nice feeling having Finn's arm on my shoulder. We settled him on a bench at the corner of Pork and Main. Lizzie and I sat on either side of him to prop him up. So what do you see inside Witch Wiggins' house, Finn boy? Lots of things, about 1,000 birds. Dead or alive, I asked.
Alive? How can there be
1,000 alive birds in there? Lizzie said. Where do they all fit? And why don't we hear a ton of bird song? Is there bird slop every which way?
Finn's left leg was about 1 inch from my right one. His left elbow was touching my right elbow. Touching it. I saw 5 or 10 coffins, Finn said. Open or closed, I asked. Closed.
People-sized?
Lizzie asked.
Where'd she get all those coffins? Are they empty or inhabited? Oh, Naomi. He saw coffins in there. Coffins. 1,000 birds and coffins.
Yes, Lizzie, I believe my ears heard that. Finn abruptly stood up, shook his head around as if he were tossing off flies, and said, "Thanks for the help. Have to go now." I didn't want him to go. I couldn't bear for him to leave. I wanted to grab a hold of his shirt and beg him to stay. And then I was embarrassed for being such a drip over a boy. I was glad no one could see into my head. Lizzie said, "Wait, Finn boy, are you sure you're well enough to be walking around on your own? Where are you going? Do you want help?" "I'll be fine, going up here a ways to Miss Cora's house." I thought the top of Lizzie's head was going to fly open.
Finn boy, you can't go there. That's Crazy Cora. You absolutely should not go there. That's Crazy Cora. Naomi, Finn boy's going to Crazy Cora's. Tell him he can't go there.
I looked at Finn. He looked at me. "Lizzie," I said, "I think this here Finn boy is going to go wherever he wants to go."
Wow, I certainly do hope that this here Finn boy knows that we will not always be available to come to his rescue.
I was thinking I will. I will always and ever be available to come to his rescue. Lizzie and the Cuprights lived up closer to town, so Lizzie was a town girl and I was almost a country girl. I liked being away from things a bit. I wouldn't have liked it. Every nosy body was strolling past our front porch looking at us and what was hanging on the clothesline. In the kitchen, Nuala was at the counter pulling mixing bowls out of the cupboard. "There you are, you lazy girl. What are my eggs? Out with the chickens, I'm supposing. Fetch me those eggs, you hear me? Here I am waiting for you to bring me the gossip, but first you fetch the eggs, and then you can start the cornbread while you tell me the news." When I returned with the eggs, Nuala sat at the table with an oath. "You work, you talk, and I will sit for the first 5 minutes all day, won't I?" First, I told her about the buzz at the T-Bop's general store. "Dapper?" Nuala asked. "They said he was a dapper man. That wouldn't be Blackbird Tree Man now, would it? Maybe a New York big city man." "They said he talked funny. Those New York big city people talk funny. They thought his name was Doodle or Dangle, something like that. Probably New York City reporter poking his nose into the ways of country folk. I don't see why Mrs. T-Bop gets in such a flap over the littlest things."
Then I told Nuala about seeing Finn coming out of Witch Wiggins' house. Finn? Ah, yes. Finn, the boy who fell out of the tree. You shouldn't call old Miss Wiggins a witch. Naomi, even if she does have that warty nose and ear-splitting cackle, and even if she does seem to affect the electricity in town, whenever Witch Wiggins gets in a tussle with someone, the power goes out for hours. Then I told Nuala about Finn going on to Crazy Cora's house. That boy Finn gets around, doesn't he? How does he know so many people here? Nuala leaned toward the bowl in which I had gathered the cornbread ingredients. Naomi, did you put in that little bit of sugar the way I like? I did. That's fine then. Now, where do you say this boy Finn went after the Wiggins place? Crazy Cora's. You really shouldn't call her crazy just because she has lost her mind entirely. She can't help it. Joe came in the back, letting the screen door slam shut. Who can't help it? Who are you talking about now? Nuala said. Get on over here and rub my poor feet, old man. Your poor feet? What about my aching back? Sit on down. Here's the scoop, according to Naomi. A big city dapper stranger was nosing around in Teapop's store. And that boy Finn, what boy Finn? The one that fell out of the tree. The boy Finn was over at Mrs. Wiggins' place. Which Wiggins? Mrs. Wiggins. And then that boy Finn went on over to Cora Capelloni's. Crazy Cora's? Joe slipped his hands inside the bib of his overalls and rested them on his chest. I certainly am glad that all these strangers have time to go nosing around and visiting while the rest of us are hard at work. Yes, sir, that gives me great comfort indeed. Speaking of which, Nuala said, work, that is. Naomi, it seems to me you've had enough lollypogging around this week, and we need to settle on your summer chores. Rats, I said. Poor, pitiful me. So, the question is, why do you think that this Finn boy has such a hold on Naomi? That's what I want you to think about. So remember, Finn is Finn McCool, and when we first started this book, it was a little bit before St. Patrick's Day, and we talked a little bit about that the Irish have folklore with regard to this Paddy McCool, and this Paddy McCool can be a little mischievous, and we don't really know if he's just made up or if he really is a real person or not. So is Finn related to Paddy McCool? That's another thing we can think about. So that's all I'm going to read today. In a little bit, I'm going to make another video of a review practicing fractions, and maybe we'll have another visitor. Guess which one. All right, kids. Talk to you later.